Welcome to Powerful, Wild, and Magical, the podcast for the female leader who wants to reconnect with her true essence, step into her divine feminine power, and make a huge impact in the world. I am your host, Nadia Gargalo, and in today's episode, we have a beautiful soul, Brittany Vinje. Brittany is a transformational life coach, NLP practitioner, and breathwork facilitator. She is passionate about helping people make meaningful and lasting change on a mind, body, and soul level. Through subconscious reprogramming, somatic therapy, and energetic alignment, she will help you manifest the life of your dreams. In this deep conversation, we talk all things subconscious reprogramming, how the subconscious affects your life, how subconscious blocks and beliefs are holding you back in your business and life, and the best ways to work on subconscious reprogramming, including techniques you can use on your own. We also talk about the power of breathwork and how it can help with subconscious reprogramming. This episode will help you understand your subconscious and how to remove all blocks for you to become unstoppable. Let's dive in. Welcome, Brittany, to the show. I'm super excited to have you here. We do very similar things, and the topic we're going to cover today is going to be super powerful. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nadia. I'm so excited to be here with you.
So I would love to start talking about the subconscious and explaining how the subconscious can affect our life.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much runs the show. So as I've studied the subconscious, I've realized like how powerful it really is. And it's been instrumental for me in my healing as far as like how I relate to the world. And as an NLP practitioner, which I believe you are as well, we kind of do our work based on the subconscious. And it really is the thing that's like in the background, because our conscious mind is at the forefront of our reality, basically. Like that's how we're kind of like experiencing the world and creating our thoughts. But in the background, it's really like these programs that are running in our subconscious mind that we're not aware of until we are. And so when I talk about the subconscious mind, the thing that I think really I like to talk about is like awareness, because we can't really understand the subconscious mind unless we're aware of it. And so what just in my studies and in my work, it's really like helping people become aware of like those deeper kind of the levels of the mind and what is really like our beliefs about what it is that we're experiencing in our reality. And as far as the subconscious goes, when we're born and through the age of 7 years old is where we're taking in all of this information and we have no filter. We're just experiencing and learning, and we don't have like the ability to say, oh, I don't like that, or that doesn't, work for me. Like we just are like, okay, I'm going to take it all in. And it's through these experiences, like at this time of our life, that we essentially like develop our programming. And after the age of around 7 is when we start to develop like the sense of self, and know then based on that programming that we received from our environment, from our parents, from the media, from everything that we've taken in for those first 7 years of how we want to relate with the world. And so it isn't until after that age, right, that you either become aware of what it was that you experienced at that age, or you don't, and you allow that to continue to run. And so the subconscious mind, like acknowledging what it is and how powerful it is, helps you and me and my clients like recognize the power that we have, because it's all really a choice. Like we have a choice to decide, what we believe in and what we don't. And then it's going into that subconscious part of our mind to basically rewrite those stories.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like I find fascinating when you understand that the subconscious is running constantly and the conscious mind is just a 5% of what we use. So 95% of everyday thoughts and everyday behaviors is coming from the subconscious, and we are not even aware of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it stems, like, our behaviors stem from the subconscious programming that is running 95% of the time that we're awake and aware and experiencing the world. So it's like, man, we have to be able to, like, acknowledge that part and then, consciously bring that to our awareness and choose differently.
It's powerful. So when did you realize the subconscious was so important, and why did you decide to include this in your coaching?
Yeah, I think it wasn't the realization of the subconscious right away, but there was a moment in my life where I just, like, realized that I had the power to, like, change how I interact with the world. And it was when I watched, like, the law of attraction, or, like, The Secret, and I learned about, like, okay, what I think becomes, right? And so recognizing that power, and then over the course of, like, probably 10 years, it wasn't until, like, maybe the last 2 or 3 years that I really started to dive deep into the subconscious and subconscious work and NLP, and learning about what it really is, that I learned more, specific tools on how to reprogram the subconscious mind and use it to my advantage. And so I feel like, yeah, it was learning NLP was there was just, like, something that was calling me to recognize, like, what it was that more like on a scientific level, like, what it was that was happening. And talking about manifestation, for most of my life, and, like, believing that we can manifest anything that we want, and, like, really proving that to myself throughout the last 10 years after watching, The Secret, and develop and, like, adopting the law of attraction as kind of like my religion, I would say. And so, yeah, it was like learning about that on a deeper level and applying it, and then seeing, like, okay, well, what is it that is, like, making me feel certain ways, or why isn't the thing that I want, like, coming, like, when I got really specific on, like, the idea of manifestation. And something that really helped me with the subconscious, like, I got to a point where I was like, why do I believe the things that I believe? And I had realized, I was like, what is the one thing that I've done consistently as I started, like, my spiritual and healing journey that has been consistent? And I was like, oh, I've been listening to sleep meditations that were basically like subconscious hypnosis, like, every single night for a year straight. And I was like, I think that's it. Because I didn't realize, like, consciously, like, why I believe some of the things that I did that were in, a more positive light. And then I was like, oh, I was literally reprogramming my subconscious without even knowing it. And then once I had that revelation, I was like, I want to go into this way deeper and way more to, like, do it consciously, like, in my day-to-day. And I still continue to listen to these sleep meditations at night because it completely transformed my mind without me even realizing it. It was such an easy thing to do.
Yeah, because one of the ways we can reprogram the mind is by repetition, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you are listening to all these subconscious or subliminal audios, then you are reprogramming by repetition, by just hearing the same things.
Yeah. And it's not even, just about, like, repeating positive affirmations and, like, kind of that toxic positivity that can come from, like, the type of work that we do and, like, in the field that we're in. It's like a combination of like being positive. Like we want to be positive, of course, but it's also being able to go deeper into those aspects of ourselves that are essentially trying to get our attention, right? Like our subconscious mind, whatever those blocks or limiting beliefs are that begin to speak to you through your emotions and your feelings, because that's how the subconscious mind communicates to us. So it's being able to be positive, but also, being able to look at those parts of yourself and those parts of your mind that are like ready to be healed, essentially, because that's why they're showing up. And the more awareness you have, the more you're able to kind of like catch those and do something about it once you have like the right tools and the people around you, and just like the ability to just feel is really crucial in this work.
I love what you're saying, because I can recognize my past self in this, of the toxic positivity that you just said, because I was forcing to be positive, and by forcing, I mean I was trying to hide parts of myself, which are the ones you actually need to be aware. Those negative parts are the ones who are like, that are blocking you, and they are the ones you need to be aware so you can change them at the subconscious levels. So people need to be careful with the positivity, because it's good to be positive, as you said, and it's good to have a positive perspective on things, but still allowing for those things to emerge and be aware of them.
Yeah, because that's where the real work lies, right? Like, and we have to be able to see it, right, to believe it. So it's like having our conscious mind see these affirmations. So having that available to you, like in your reality, whether that's like through the people or putting post-it notes up around, like there's nothing wrong with that. But it's doing the work of like accessing those deeper subconscious programmings that will become aware to you. And at the end of the day, it's kind of never ending, right? Like
we are always the student, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, can I just like accept that and like have fun with it and know that it doesn't have to be hard. Like, yeah, it might be uncomfortable at times. It might not feel so good. And it's really like the idea of like not judging it, right, as good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. It's information that is being presented to you, and we're taking it all in through our five senses, and then going into that subconscious mind and recognizing what our beliefs are and knowing that we have the power to change it, because it's literally just a choice. So, yeah.
So why is it so important for entrepreneurs, especially, to work on subconscious reprogramming?
Yeah, I think with entrepreneurs, especially when you're embarking on what I would say your sole purpose, right? Like as an entrepreneur, no matter what field that you're in, you're following like your heart, like you're realizing like what it is that you're good at, and you're taking the risk and you have the courage to like actually go out and pursue that. Like that, not everyone has the capability, or everyone has the capability to do that, but not everyone is willing. Yeah, the courage. And it takes a lot, because you're embarking in the unknown territory of like, okay, it's kind of up to me, right? As a entrepreneur, you're probably starting out like as just yourself, and that's all you really have to rely on. So you might as well get really familiar with yourself. And so being able to acknowledge the subconscious in that way, and the limiting beliefs that might be preventing you from kind of like receiving the success that you want in that. And it's really also having clarity. Like when we're embarking on these journeys of entrepreneurship, like it sounds really good. And I think a lot of people, see other people doing it, they hear about it, and there's some aspect of them that's like, oh, I want to do that too. And if they don't really know what it is that they're setting out to do and have that clarity around it, then you're going to kind of stay stagnant in a way, and you're not going to be able to really grow if you're not acknowledging these parts of ourselves that are basically blocking, like the limiting beliefs that can block us from receiving what we want. And I know for me personally, one of the biggest ones was around unworthiness, right? Like, am I worthy of having this thing? Am I like capable of doing what it is that I am setting out to do, and falling into like the comparison trap and kind of looking outside of myself and the external for what it like that validation, right? Like, or even clarity. And if it's not coming from you and your heart and your intuition, then you're going to be a little confused, and you're really not going to know how to go about setting goals and changing your behaviors to become that version of yourself that is the successful entrepreneur and living the life that you want, and essentially helping other people. Because I think that's why most entrepreneurs, if not all of them, are setting out to do the thing, is to be of service to other people in a way that fully resonates with them and feels good to them, and sharing their energy with the world. And so the more clear you are on who you are and what you have to offer, and kind of reprogramming those limiting beliefs of like what it means to even be an entrepreneur, what it means to like work in this world, and like how the paradigm is now shifting. And we're coming into like, the age of Aquarius, where we're taking, the technology and stuff, but the old structure is kind of crumbling right before our eyes, and we get to create. So it's super exciting. And I think, every entrepreneur, again, no matter what field you're in, subconscious work is going to be super beneficial to you.
Yeah, because what I see with entrepreneurs and with my own journey as well is that you have these desires, and you just hardly, you want to help people, you want to like fulfill your purpose, but then in the back, you have these feelings, as you said, of unworthiness or like imposter syndrome. Like that was a big one for me. Like I had all this knowledge in different areas. I overcame binge eating disorder, which is what I was doing at the beginning before being a success coach. But you still doubt yourself. You are still like thinking, and a lot of times it's not conscious, but you have the fear of my clients are not going to get results. I'm not sure if I know enough. And then this is staying on the way and holding you back from charging the prices you should be charging, or being fully confident in what you're doing. So there is a lot of things that we think consciously, but then we don't realize what's holding us back in the subconscious.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome is usually where we get caught up in. And again, I feel like it is kind of like this never ending thing, especially as you're growing in your business and you're going to be faced with these opportunities, right? To acknowledge like, okay, where is it that I don't feel empowered in this like aspect of my business, and do the work to change that. And yeah, it's like, okay, who am I to be doing this? And am I actually capable of providing this transformation that I want to with my clients? Just like you were saying, all those points you made, I totally resonate with. And it's really, yeah, using that to your advantage, right? And acknowledging that part of ourselves that doesn't believe in ourselves. And that's silly, because I know when I'm going into a coaching session, it's like, I believe that the person in front of me is fully capable and basically already, right, has the thing that they desire. And so if I believe that about them, like I have to believe that about myself as well. And that is just exuded and kind of like cultivated within that session and space.
So what are the most common patterns or subconscious blocks that you see with your clients, with entrepreneurs having?
Yeah, I think I kind of always come back to the unworthiness one, because it's one that's like so kind of deep. And I know for myself, like I said, it's like one of these, and I don't even like to use the term like core wound, but it is the thing that's at play most often in my subconscious that shows up. And it's pretty broad too, right? We can feel unworthy in a lot of different ways and aspects of our life, and disempowered in a sense. And so it's like wanting, desiring the things that we want, knowing that it's okay. And the limiting beliefs that show up, it's like, who am, the imposter syndrome, who am I to have this thing? And really like people having whatever it is that they were told, like as a child, and it can be anything, right? Like the trauma that we suffer as children, which can be very, very subtle. It doesn't have to be these like really big traumatic experiences that you might think of when you think of someone being traumatized. Like it can literally be like a shutdown of your self-expression as a student in school when you're like, in first grade and you wanted to share something that you were really excited about and you just got denied basically. And then you took that as like, oh, what I have to say isn't important. And you adopt that as a belief about yourself. And then you continue to live life without even realizing that there was this one subtle moment that you experienced as a child that caused you to have that feeling of unworthiness and not feeling capable of expressing yourself. And so I think being able to feel that like authenticity and like recognizing your power and your own intuition, really, like that's what we're guided by all the time. And it's always like speaking to us. And it's again, having that awareness and the capacity to receive that information and do something about it, despite all of the external things that you might be hearing and witnessing. And I know when it comes to like family too, as entrepreneurs, like their beliefs are so ingrained as well. And when you're setting out to do something that they've never done before, they kind of impart all of their fears onto you. And you have to be able to decipher, like, is this mine? Is this my belief? Or is it someone else's? Like, and am I going to choose to believe that about myself and what I'm setting out to do? And usually the answer is no. And so it's just having, the ability to recognize it and then say no to it.
Yeah, because look, we acquire so many limiting beliefs through conditioning and what we hear our parents, our teachers, people in our lives when we are young, especially, and we just make them true. But when you become an adult and you work in these things, if you ask, is this actually true? Most of the time it's not. And we have so many beliefs, especially with the masculine way of doing things around money, around all the beliefs around it's hard to make money. Money doesn't grow on trees. You shouldn't be asking for so much. Be grateful with what you have. And then you acquire all these beliefs that to make money, I need to work hard, or it's difficult to make money, or I'm not going to be able to make a lot of money because that's hard. Or I don't even deserve the money because I'm greedy if I ask for it.
Right.
And all that is running in your subconscious, really stopping you from getting what you want to get.
Yeah. And I think we're shifting away from that more masculine structure of business into a more feminine place of like receiving, right? Like receiving from just recognizing that we are worthy of it. And that's where like the unworthiness piece, I think, is so important, is because it really just, once you believe you're worthy, like, and you can then expand your energy to allow everything that it is that you want. And by clearing these subconscious beliefs that, were ingrained from us and in society, and even of course, still to this day, like, that's what we're seeing, in the external. And it's having, the power to just say, nope, I don't believe that about myself. And I find myself doing that like in almost every moment of the day, right? Like, I'm like, do I believe that? And it's not even something at this point now that it's like an effort, right? And at first, of course, it takes a little bit of time to develop that muscle of like accessing your subconscious and your own power to be like, wait, do I believe this? I'm acting in this way. Like, do I want to be acting in this way? Does the future version of myself that has everything that she ever wants act in this way? If not, then got to change the behavior, right? And that can feel like a lot at first if you don't really know what that looks like for you or how to go about doing it. And that's where I love to support people, is in like making those behavior changes and using the subconscious mind to do that.
Yeah, because it takes effort to change that programming, because it always tries to go back.
Yeah.
So it's hard by yourself to sometimes just be aware of everything and do the work. And I see it's very powerful to have someone supporting you in this type of work.
Right.
So what are the techniques that you love the most, or that you would recommend people to use to work on subconscious reprogramming?
Yeah. So one that I like love right now, that is something that I learned in the last year, is a physical modality, but it is extremely powerful. And I was trained in this with a friend. And it's called the BEST technique, which stands for bioenergetic synchronization technique.
Ooh.
And yeah, it was taught to me by Dr. Sue Morter. And she learned this from her father, who was a chiropractor, who essentially spent most of his life dedicated to figuring out why it was when his chiropractic patients would come to him, for an adjustment, and he would give them an adjustment. And like 2 weeks later, they'd be back in his office with the same issue, same physical issue, and nothing was actually changing, right? Like he didn't want them to come back into his office. So he just took it upon himself to really dig deep into like what was blocking this person from actually healing their physical body. And it came down to the subconscious and the blocks that were created from these moments of trauma, we can say, and whatever it was that we experienced, we created a block around that, and it's usually associated with a feeling or emotion. And essentially the technique that I learned was, as the practitioner, acting as like jumper cables. So using like polarity therapy, which we have energy, in our bodies, and we know how at this point to like direct that. And essentially asking the body through muscle testing, and so applied kinesiology, what it is that most wants to be healed in the moment. So when I'm working with a client, I'm literally just testing them, because our subconscious mind can speak to us through our body using this muscle testing technique. And I can ask yes or no questions that the body will respond to, and it will present to me exactly what it is through this series of questioning that was developed by these two amazing doctors, what it is that wants to be healed. And then it will tell me exactly where to put my hands on the person's body, which is usually around their head. And essentially I hold those contact points for a couple seconds until I feel like the pulse in those contact points come into coherence, and that block is magically just disappeared. And it allows your body to then put the energy, like direct the energy within you back to that area, usually with a physical complaint. So I experienced this firsthand. And the first time that I had treatment done on me, I had suffered a car accident like many years ago, and I fractured 2 discs in my neck. And so I carry a lot of tension in my like trap muscles. And basically my subconscious said that I was holding on to a story and a feeling and emotion around my car accident. And that was why my traps would get so sore. And basically they cleared it within 30 seconds. Wow. And my traps went from rocks to jello. And I was just like, holy crap, that was amazing. So
that sounds powerful.
It's so powerful. So I've been like sharing that with as many people as possible. And there are ways to do this that aren't in the physical. So Dr. Sue Morter is the woman that presented that, but she also created this kind of like spiritual best and energetic best that you can kind of use to do the same thing. Essentially, of course, it's not as instantaneous as having someone else do it for you, which, you know, we all kind of want that instant relief. But yeah, so that's like one that I'm super excited about. And I've taught my roommate now, like how to do it on me, because I was doing it for so many people. And I was like, oh, I want someone to do this on me. And I live in Costa Rica, so there really aren't many like trained practitioners in this specific modality. And so she was able to do it on me, and that was amazing. But there are so many other ways that you can work with the subconscious mind as well.
Yeah, for me, like I really love to use NLP and hypnosis to really go in depth into the subconscious and see the limiting beliefs. But I also combine the EFT because of what you said, like the emotions get stuck in your body, in your energy field. So EFT tapping through the meridians also helps you releasing those or clearing those energetical blocks as well. So the subconscious is linked to the body, as you said, and it's very important to work at both levels for sure. But I never heard of that technique, and I'm really curious right now. So I'm definitely going to be checking on that.
I'll send you more information, but you make a good point, because I want to express the accessible tools that are available for people, that like EFT tapping, which is a super simple technique that you can use when you start to feel an emotion rising, and use those meridian points on your body and just start tapping and using affirmations to help you clear and kind of lower the intensity of that feeling or emotion. And hypnosis, like I mentioned, using those sleep hypnosis meditations, like as I slept, for the last 2 years now, that I didn't even realize were having such an effect on me. And I think it also just comes back to having that awareness, like to just become more self-aware. And, through meditation is what has really helped me develop that like distinction between, okay, my thoughts and then like who I actually am. And basically just having and expanding my capacity to be able to witness, right, what it is that my mind is telling me, and then doing something about it, whether that is like feeling the thing, and that can be super powerful and essentially clear a subconscious block, right? Literally just choosing to not believe that thing anymore is something that you can do in any moment, where you're like, okay, I just don't believe that thing anymore. And it might feel as though you're not clearing a subconscious block, right? Like, and it doesn't mean that it's never going to show up again. That's the thing. Like, just because I, cleared unworthiness doesn't mean that I'm never going to feel the feeling of unworthiness again, but I'm going to be able to recognize it a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker. And then again, just remind myself like, oh, wait, I don't believe that. So we'll just
reframe it quicker than before, so you don't allow for the block or for it to stop you. Yeah. Something I like to do is go on a meditation and visualize the things that I want to create or whatever I want, and then feel in my body where I feel resistance, where I feel uncomfortable towards that vision, and then just ask myself questions until I understand why that feeling is there. And then, as you said, EFT is something like super easy to do. Anyone can do it. You can just self-do it. And it's very easy to learn.
Yeah, it's just getting curious, right? Like, just be like, oh, am I thinking this thing? And asking yourself those questions, and not even naming the feeling, right? I think adding the subconscious mind in that way, when you're in a meditation and you're feeling whatever it is, like to not even name what the feeling is, because as soon as you name it, like your conscious mind comes into play and starts creating a story about why it is that you're feeling it. And it's really just allowing that feeling to be present and speak to you, right? Like ask the feeling what it most wants to share with you. And then you're just provided with information, and then you get to do something about it.
Exactly. So you are also a breathwork facilitator, and I love breathwork. So how can breathwork help with subconscious work, and how do you infuse this with your techniques on subconscious reprogramming?
Yeah, breathwork has been so powerful in, like, we're talking about this like feeling, right? Like to be able to feel the things, because our emotions are just energy and motion that we're trapped in our bodies at some point or another, and they just want to move through us. And so the more that we resist that or ignore it or try and suppress it, the more it's going to become present in our reality. And so breath work has been such a powerful tool in somatic healing, right? Like actually allowing yourself to feel those feelings and kind of move away from the conscious mind and dive into the subconscious mind through your breath, and allow that energy to kind of come up to the surface and be released in a controlled, safe and courageous way, because it can be intense. And the breath work that I'm trained in is more like in the holotropic rebirthing technique. So it's a more stimulating breath work where you're doing an active breathing in and out through the mouth, which activates a different part of your nervous system than when you breathe through your nose, which would be the calming, more sensations of your nervous system. And this one is really designed to kind of move past that in a very quick and effective way to allow these things to come up and then be released. And so you're getting to the root of whatever it is that the subconscious belief or story is, and just accessing that feeling or emotion and allowing it to be cleared through your breath. And it's been single-handedly the thing that I think has helped like combine the knowledge of the subconscious and doing kind of the more mental work with the physical and emotional work, because it takes, the mind, body, and soul to be on board in order to actually heal in ways that we want to heal.
Because it's not just healing one, it's all combined, they all intertwine, like the mind, the body, the emotions, everything. What I found with breath work is that it has helped me a lot with regulating my nervous system when I'm working on those type of things, and feeling more in control, rather than feeling that my emotions or whatever I'm working on when you do this deep work is going to just run or like take over me.
Exactly. Yeah. Like setting aside even like an hour once a week to like consciously use your breath, which is your life force, to heal. Like it's self-healing. You're allowing, your nervous system and your mind to move away from what it is that you are experiencing in your day to day, and like just giving it permission, right, to be seen and to be witnessed and to be held and to be released. And so it's doing that in the safest way possible, because like I said, it can be really intense, and, you want to be able to have someone there that can hold the space for that and like encourage you to like give permission to whatever it is that is wanting to be seen and released, and to actually do that. And it is like this trauma healing somatic like work that is so crucial, because it's all we're physical, we're in a physical body, even if we are like souls and spirits that are having this human experience. And so it has to be on all these different levels. They're all at play. And this, in conjunction with the subconscious work, it just made sense to me. And so I feel like I found like the sweet spot in these modalities and tools that I've collected and have now had the desire to like share and hold space for other people to experience.
That's beautiful. Would you like to give any particular advice, any tips for anyone who is willing to look more into the subconscious reprogramming, or has her journey but wants to go deeper into it, or maybe try something by herself, something maybe what our listeners could just do at home. We touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, all of the things that we've mentioned are pretty practical tools. And I always, recommend using a meditation, like finding a meditation practice where you can actually sit with yourself for however long and in whatever way feels best for you, and have a consistent practice doing that. And that's where it can look different for so many people. But just giving yourself that time to just be with yourself, and I think is one of the most important things that anybody can do. So cultivating a meditation practice, again, that feels good for you. And that can, again, just be sitting with your eyes closed. That can be a walking meditation. There's so many different ways. And you don't have to stick with the same one each time. So meditation, and even just like having the desire to want to learn about these things, like start following people that, resonate and are speaking about this, because the access that we have to information is right at our fingertips. And by beginning to just like take in some of this, like there's so much free value and free content on the internet that people are sharing, and finding what resonates with you and the people that resonate with you is kind of just like the gateway into giving yourself that permission to explore even further and find people, because it's really about finding the tools, the resources, and the people to support you on this healing journey once you've decided and made the choice that that is what you want to embark on. And like the EFT tapping, the sleep hypnosis meditations, like there's so much available to anybody that is seeking that out.
Yeah, like you can go on YouTube and find loads of hypnosis while you sleep, or EFT tapping videos that you just can tap along with the video. So yeah.
And it can be overwhelming sometimes too. And so it's not to like think too much about it, just kind of like find where you want to start, and
one thing at a time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just do one thing. That's really all it takes. And the more that you do that one thing, the more you're going to develop the capacity, right, to start taking in more, and the desire to want to take in more.
So just before we finish, I would love to know what's something you're absolutely in love with right now in your life that's lighting your soul up, that you could share with our listeners.
So something huge in my life that's happening right now is that I'm 5 months pregnant.
Oh yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. And yesterday I found out that I'm having a baby girl. So
feminine power.
Exactly. I know that question. I was just like, I can't wait to share this, because I'm literally carrying feminine power within me. And it's like really igniting myself and my feminine power, and recognizing like, oh, wow, like I have such a huge responsibility ahead of me, but in the best way. Like, I can't wait to like teach this little being and just like guide this little being to experience the world in a way that's, I think will be very helpful and beneficial. And like, I always knew that I was meant to be a mom, and I had moments in my life where, I questioned that for sure. And this just kind of happened. And I was like, okay, clearly I'm ready. Like, so let's do this. And it's funny because at first I really wanted a boy because I was afraid of having a girl. I was like, for some reason that feels like a greater responsibility in a sense. Like, I know what it's like to
obviously between beliefs,
right? I had to like quickly reframe that and just be like, wait a second, it actually doesn't matter whether it's male or female. Like, I I'm just excited to have the opportunity to, especially with all of the work that I've done and now what I've come to like know about myself and the world, and guide this little human into kind of being whoever it is that they came here to be. And I think all the little beings that are coming in right now have a lot of power, and they're going to be shifting and helping shift the direction of us.
I'm excited to see what's coming, because I really feel the power of the shifts that are happening and the people that are gonna come.
Yeah.
The legacy we're gonna leave is going to be crazy powerful.
Yeah, it's happening right before our eyes, and more people, I think, are becoming aware of it. And because of that, are like recognizing their own power and doing this healing work that we're talking about, and that so many people are, you know, kind of like willing to engage in, because they realize like
I think it's going to be beautiful to witness the new generations, because we are kind of being the ones who are making the transition. And I think young people and like the babies which are going to be born from now on, they're gonna come to the world with a different consciousness and a different understanding that we didn't have. And I think like the connection they're gonna have with their inner self, with their intuition, their own power, is going to be like super strong.
Yeah, because it's like what we experienced, you know, growing up, like our parents were only ever doing the best they could with what they had. And as we are taking the responsibility of our own healing and then, you know, doing that work, I think it's going to translate into these new generations, like the fact that more and more people have that awareness. And of course, like we can't stop the conditioning, right? Like I realize, like, I'm like, okay, well, in some way, like I'm going to be conditioning this human, and how can I like do that to the best of my ability that allows like its own expression, her own expression to come through, and in a way that maybe I didn't get to experience, but now I know better, and I've done the work to be able to recognize that and give her that gift.
Congratulations, and I wish you the best and your baby. And just how can people find you, work with you, if you want to share any offers or what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Brittany Vinje. It's Brittany. My last name is Vinje. And I know you had the same experience where I had a business Instagram under the name of Rebel Wellness Collective, and deleted by Instagram randomly for no reason. And so my website is rebelwellnesscollective.com right now. And I'm just kind of working on that transition, as it was unexpected, but I think it was a blessing in disguise. So it's kind of
I feel the same. Like I know quite a lot of people who have lost their accounts, and it's been a bit crazy, but because I think Instagram is an amazing platform, but I don't know what's going on. But I do feel the same. I feel like it's forced me to start again from scratch and build a completely new audience that is more aligned, that's more powerful.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And it also is like good for us as entrepreneurs to realize like, okay, these are tools that we can use, but what is ours, right? Because like I can have it, it's not mine, you know, like it can be taken away at any second. And so creating a little bit more like stability and structure, like in the business, and it takes time. So those are two ways that you can find me. And right now I'm kind of launching a one-on-one coaching program that's like a 6-week container that uses all of these different modalities that I talk about. So life coaching, I call myself an expansion coach, to expand past the perceived limitations that we think we have on ourselves, using all of these different NLP modalities, and then breathwork, of course, and doing that in an intimate one-on-one setting, I think is is next level. And so I'm just calling in the people that are ready to do the work, because it isn't for the faint of heart, right? You have to be ready and willing to do it. But I'm just so excited to support people in watching that transformation and like becoming the version of themselves that they've been wanting to experience for however long.
Beautiful. Thanks a lot for being here today and for sharing your light with us. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you a lot.
So much, Nadia. This is amazing.
Thanks for listening, powerful, wild, and magical souls. I would love to connect with you on my Instagram profile, where you can find more of what I do and reach me out on the DMs. I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please share. Tag me and Brittany and share with us your thoughts and what came up for you. See you in the next episode.